My name's Jonathan Norman, and I'm interviewing Joe Dowse, who is the Communications and Stakeholder Lead for the Project Delivery profession within DWP. The Department for Work and Pensions are experimenting with communities of practice as a medium for encouraging team members to learn from each other. So, Joe, do you want to say a few words about how the DWP communities of practice work?
We have around 8 communities of practice, and they are primarily focused on job roles. So we have, for example, an implementation community, a planning community, a stakeholder manager community. And those communities are headed up by senior leads within DWP, and they are responsible for bringing that community together of like-minded and like-rolled people within the project delivery profession to share knowledge, to share best practice, to learn from each other, to build each other's capability, and to hear from other people of that same job role from outside of the Department for Work and Pensions. So we invite external speakers in to talk about what life is like in other government departments and in fact private industry as well when doing roles like implementation or managing projects or governing projects. So we have identified out of the 800 plus people within the project delivery profession in DWP who within that community sit under those heads of community teams, and we pulled them together into individual groups. We then worked alongside those communities to put some context and some frameworks around those groups, so what they could expect from the group, but what the group could expect from individuals as well. We requested volunteers to support the community in different ways. So for example, somebody would take the lead on organising their meetings at whichever frequency they decided in that community they would want, the medium for which those meetings would be taking place. So for example, face-to-face or telekit facilities, etc. We also have volunteers for collection of information. So we have libraries within each community. So good practice documents and examples of lessons that have been learned by the people in the communities, and people have taken responsibility for compiling those libraries and pointing people within the community to what's in there and keeping that up to date, getting rid of old documents that are no longer relevant. And then people have taken responsibility for finding and sourcing speakers for the community as well. So my role is to work alongside those people in each of our communities of practice to identify speakers for them, to give some insight into what goes on elsewhere. It's been a real success so far, and the people in the communities have taken quite a bit from it. We are trying to now look at how we measure success and what success looks like for each of those communities. And we're finding that each community is very different. So, for example, the implementation community has a very far-reaching network. There are a lot of people in that community and they are very much self-propelling. Other smaller communities have taken quite a bit of support to get up and running, and I can would say that they're probably still in their infancy and do need quite a bit of support from myself, some of the learning from the other communities, which I've found has been really helpful as well.